Hi, I'm Jalen Rose, and welcome to the Renaissance Man podcast, proudly presented by the New York Post, a show where we cover trends in fashion, entertainment, current events, and everything in between. Download the podcast. As a matter of fact, refer somebody else to the show, a coworker, a sibling, a family member, somebody that you've talked to recently that probably needed a little pick me up. They probably needed something different to listen to, a different column to read each week. We do a new episode every Thursday. So download the show, leave a 5-star rating, and I appreciate all of the comments. And remember that the Renaissance Man is up for a People's Choice Award. Not only one, but two. We're being considered in both entertainment and best Black hosted categories. Winners will be announced on September 30th. And if you happen to be a judge, we appreciate your consideration and support. You know, these themes are really personal to me. So it's only right that this week's theme is give everything 100. When we first started this show in October of 2020, there was so much uncertainty in the world. We were in the middle of an epidemic, a pandemic. Travel was put on hold. Sports stopped. The world stopped. It almost felt like life was on hold. But despite all of that, I wanted to make a show that brought together all types of ideas: leadership, perseverance, self-care, and of course, humor. And conversations with inspiring people who are not just successful in their industry, but could also be honest about the work that it took for them to become who they are. It feels so good to hear from listeners how much they've learned from me. That's who, just by listening to this show. But I want to be honest. This show, as I mentioned, is a form of therapy for me, because the guests that have been on this show, like myself, like you, have grown, have changed a lot over the last weeks, months, years. And my takeaway is the next 100 episodes are going to be just as special, as consistent, as thought-provoking, and as honest. And it's only right that I share some of my favorite moments from this show, the Renaissance Man podcast. From Charissa Thompson to Rose, Rick Ross. These guests have gotten real with us for the past 100 episodes.
It's hard for artists to speak out about race, religion, politics, this or that, because you become the poster child of that idea you might have said. And now they come at you because you're that. But I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I always just, this is what I'm here to do. I'm here to do the thing I love to do. The rest of the stuff comes with all of the accolades and all of that. That's cute. But what's real is that I really love what I do. And that's, if I can do that, that's all I want to do, is continue to create music.
My brother.
Other art.
Absolutely. If I could pay you a compliment or an accolade, and I appreciate getting free meals at your restaurants, but I must say this at all of our listeners. Nasir Jones should get free meals everywhere he go in the world, because the sacrifices that you've made, brother, the people that you've inspired, the lyrics that you've put on wax, all of the times you stayed true to yourself as an artist. There were people like me that also had chipped teeth. And I was like, yo,
Which one?
This one. I fell playing. I got veneers when I got to the league.
My fixed tooth brother.
Exactly.
there were like 20 people in the kitchen, and I was working on the sauce station. You know, making sauces in France was always the thing. You know, if you could make great sauces, you're a very great chef. And when one day he took like 3 days off, like after I was there 6 months or so. And he said, I want Wolfgang to be here because I know he makes the best sauces. I know when I'm gone, I want him to do that. And that gave me so much confidence that I felt so much better about myself. So I said, here I am, 19 years old, and it's the first time somebody actually was very positive and at the highest level. You know, it's like, if you come, you're not a good basketball player and you go play for the Lakers, forget about Chicago or somebody like that. But, you know, you arrived at the top, and this was one of the top restaurants, one of the 10 best, probably in France and in Europe. So to me, that changed my life. And I said, I want to be like him. I want to cook, you know, I want to cook like him, and hopefully one day open a restaurant and be the chef and be able to greet the customers. And you know what? I had the dream, I shot very high, and the dream in a way came true.
You and I are fortunate, Jalen, because of this. We were change agents. There will never be a basketball team in college basketball that did what the University of Michigan did and Jalen Rose did, right? And so you changed college basketball, you know, the longer shorts, the black socks. You made it more fashionable while you were still dominating and while you were still winning the game. Well, before, everybody just cared about winning or playing the game. You guys said, no, we're going to take it a step further. We're going to add fashion to it. And so I tried to do the same thing. I wanted to smile. I wanted to be a change agent in the NBA. And thank God that Larry Bird and I came at the right time. We were able to change the game, show a big man can handle the ball, make plays, you know, make their teammates better. And we were able to change the league at the same time. And him being on the Boston Celtics, myself on the Lakers, East, West, the whole thing just worked and exploded, and the league exploded because of that.
The theme of this episode is called Be Ready to Seize the Opportunity When You Get It. How about that? And yours started on the Today Show in 1991 when Deborah Norville left for maternity leave. And as you mentioned, your career took off from there. Can you share that experience and how you were prepared for the opportunity?
Well, the good news was, you know, that was my first, well, that was my probably my biggest on air moment. But I think the good news for me was that I had been a reporter for 12 years, by producer and a reporter. I had worked in local news in Miami and Washington, D.C. I'd worked at CNN doing some on-air work, but also as a producer and assignment editor. So I had really paid my dues. You know, I had learned the craft a little bit. I was still, you know, relatively green. I still feel green today at 63, you know, because it's always a new challenge, and you have to approach every assignment as if it's almost, you know, one that you need to do really well. And I've done some really well and some not so well. And so I think that I was ready. I was mature enough to handle the attention, because it was pretty overwhelming.
I have never been more proud of the NBA. As you guys professionally handled the bubble, there were 29 messages on the back of jerseys. Black Lives Matter was on the floor. What was it like for you as the commissioner of the league to see your NBA and WNBA players be such game-changing agents in their communities?
I was proud to be part of this league. I am proud to be part of this league. I was frankly amazed at the players. I think given that all that was going on in society, you know, with the pandemic, personal health issues for family members of many of our players, dealing with their communities, you know, then all the concern about finding a way to come back to play. I mean, now in retrospect, obviously we had 0 cases in the bubble, but guys were understandably very nervous about the protocols going in, about leaving their families behind, about being isolated over that period of time. And then on top of that, the social justice movement. And I think it demonstrated more than ever something that we know by virtue of being around this league for a long time, that how multi-talented, multi-dimensional our players really are.
When it got picked up, I couldn't commit to Amari's role. Amari, he did a lot of work, man. He worked hard on that project.
Crushed it. Yes.
Yeah, and it's amazing. But the success of the project, I'm like, now you look at it and you go, the youngest person on the show, Michael Rainey was 12 when Power started, is now the head of Ghost.
Wow.
Number one on the call sheet. Yeah.
And that's amazing progress. One of the things, and I know you're really meticulous, that had people like me a little upset is when you changed the theme song.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
You know what I'm saying? Talk to me about that, family.
You gotta look. I'm in the recording studio, right? It's me. and for Trey Songz, to his defense, right? He said to me,
Songz, ciao, Joe.
Yeah, Trey, he said to me, he was like, yo, you want to change the why? And I was like, nah, because it'll give it a fresh feel, like something new. I said, listen to the track though. When I played it, he was like, oh, I see what you're saying. Because the record was like, it had that feeling to it. And look, it was going up the charts when they were saying no to me. I just said, why fight the audience when what they want is more important than me getting what I want with the song?
Right. Because I feel like we have that underdog mentality. We've had to sit back and watch the East Coast in New York eat off of entertainment and music, and that's the birthplace of hip hop, and we forever grateful. And then LA had entertainment and movies on lock. And for us, it was the auto industry and our music, Motown, the heartbeat of what we did. And it became the soundtrack of our lives, because all of the things you just described is like we were walking down the streets and we were avoiding landmines and we didn't even know it.
Exactly.
It's dangerous. How did you survive? One of the things that was playing in our head was music, the soundtrack, Marvin Gaye, what's going on? All of these songs that became soundtracks to our lifestyle. How did you survive?
And first of all, Motown gave Black people an identity in music. We didn't have it. We didn't have an identity before that. It wasn't just a genre. It was an identity. That's never been done ever, until then. And how I survived, bro, I stay myself. Even though I was around certain things, family members who sold drugs and, would do dumb things, I learned from their mistakes, first of all. And second of all, I had to just stay myself. I just knew that even though I grew up where I grew up and from the hood and everything, like, I feel like I just was like on a different path. I feel like I had to do a bigger cause and then bring it back to the city and do it for the city. And that just was always my mentality since I was 11 years old, since I first started rapping.
You having a chance to interview Michael Jordan and Larry Bird at the same time, and you decided that you didn't want to do it? Is that right?
Not that I didn't want to. I was peeing down my leg. I was so nervous about doing it. I said, I got to go change my clothes. I can't do it. No, I was working for the Big Ten Network. Jeffrey Jordan, Michael's youngest, was playing in Illinois. We were at the Conseco Fieldhouse. Still called Conseco Fieldhouse?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, they changed the name a couple of times.
Okay, yeah.
Depending on who's writing the check.
Exactly. So we're in Indianapolis. And so Larry was there and Michael was there. And my producer gets in my ear and he says, okay, we need you to go up to the suite, interview Larry Bird and Michael Jordan. I said, what? I said, I'm sorry, what was that? Like, I'm working the Big Ten tournament. I didn't just expect to be like given the biggest interview I would ever have in my life, let alone the biggest interview I had when I was 25 years old. I said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. He goes, what'd you say? I go, I said, I can't do it. I was like, I will live the rest of my life not doing this interview as opposed to doing the interview and messing it up so bad that I'm embarrassed in front of my childhood hero, Michael Jordan, and a close second, Larry Bird. So I didn't do it. And I'm still okay with the decision because in my mind, I didn't mess it up. So that's all that mattered.
So what is one of the worst things that you've spent money on?
Let me see. Now this is a different type of question for Rose, because we usually, even if it's some different type of shit, we usually find a way to make it neat. I purchased an $80,000 horse.
How did you race the horse? Was it for personal use?
It was just for personal use. And when I say that dollar figure, sometimes people, motherfuckers say $80,000. And what may be the cherry on top is I forgot the type of horse it was.
Of course you did. You actually listen to the show?
I do.
And you're a fan of the program?
I do, and I actually listen to it while I'm cleaning the kitchen after my kids have, cooked and made dinner. So it really gets me through those moments. But I'm such a fan, and I think how you're doing it is so epic that I asked my team on my podcast to please listen, because I just think you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you very much. That means a lot to me. And growing up listening to my mother play 33s and 45s on a component set, cleaning up on weekends, I understand that's really when you focused, when you're cleaning up, right?
You're not kidding, and at least now we have something to do, so we're not just cleaning up and aggravated that we're the only ones cleaning.